Okay, hello. Welcome to episode 4 of Under the Hood. I'm Ed Ciarimboli. This is Corey Suda. I have to tell you, nobody is more surprised than me and Corey.
Yeah.
We've had tens of thousands of views on our little podcast here, talking about things that are related to truck driving, the trucking industry, and trucking litigation. So today's super hot topic. So recently there was a 60 Minutes expose. There was a Wall Street Journal article. There was an article, I think it might have been in the Philly Inquirer, talking about chameleon carriers. What are they, and why is this such a problem in the industry right now? So here's what a chameleon carrier is, and Corey and I, we have a couple of these cases, unfortunately, we have a couple of these cases right now. So it's a very quick, easy process to start a trucking company. I mean, you got to apply for a number, you got to get insurance. You don't even have to have a CDL license in order to get start a trucking company. And so what happens is you have these companies that are being set up from individuals and corporations overseas. Mm-hmm. We see a lot of them coming out of Ukraine, Bosnia, Serbia. I mean, some of the Eastern Bloc countries, a lot of Armenian, ones as well. Uzbekistan is another
big one.
another big area. And so what they do is they set up these companies, and then they run them. And then when these companies get into trouble and they have a ton of violations, they just shut them down and open up another one and open up another one. It's all the same people, and they just do a different incorporation. And so, the federal government has what they've done is they've figured out that the federal government can't actually enforce the laws that are there because they have a lack of manpower. And so they can't track down all these individuals. And so it's called a chameleon because it's one bad company just now keeps going. And these companies are really terrible companies, causing a lot of problems. You have drivers that they can't read and write English. They don't have the telematics that are supposed to be in the vehicles, electronic logs. Every safety violation you could possibly imagine, they are usually hitting with these chameleon carriers.
Yeah, and like USDOT, they can't govern it,
no,
right? Like they don't have the manpower to govern it, and when something happens, they immediately just shut down and start a new company. It's going to be the same equipment, same people, different LLC. I mean, So let's kind of run through how this process works, right?
Yeah.
So in order to get a USDOT number, what do you have to do?
So you got to fill out the paperwork from the federal government. It's called an OP1 agreement,
which costs $400 maybe.
Less than $1,000, and then you got to have insurance. You got to have the federal minimal insurance, which is $750,000, which will cost you, maybe a couple $1,000 in order to purchase that piece of coverage. And that's it. That's all you got to do.
And I think there's been a problem recently. I think the underwriting process used to be a little more intensive for these trucking companies.
Yeah. And so now what you have is you have a cottage industry within the insurance industry that is servicing these bottom of the barrel companies. You have insurance carriers that are being set up to do nothing but service these chameleon carriers. Out in California, it was a huge problem where they had a number of companies, insurance companies. There was, again, chameleon carriers. They were being set up from companies and individuals in India. They all had the last name of Singh, and so it was
Florida. I think it was California and
Florida,
right?
Very similar. And you had an insurance company that was being set up as a separate company for them, that was selling insurance, the minimum insurance, and it was a total scam. And so that has been a big problem at all. But again, because of the fact that the federal, the Department of Transportation has just been gutted. They don't have enough people to do enforcement of the companies that are already in business, right? So 80% of the companies that are in business right now have no safety rating, zero. I mean, think about that. For every 8 out of 10 trucks that you see out on the road, none of them have a safety rating. That's terrifying. Federal government can't even police those entities already. So now you have all these new entrants that are coming in, and they can't vet them, properly either.
So what's a safety? Let's explain kind of a safety.
Yeah.
rating.
So the federal safety regulations, there's let's see, you might be able to grab the book.
Probably
Corey.
somewhere around here.
Yeah. Here, wait. We'll grab. Look, we even got props now. So this is, this is kind of the Bible, when it comes to the regulations. This is it. This is the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Regulations. This is what every company, every driver, has to follow. And they're supposed to, when you fill out this OP1 agreement, you're supposed to certify that you have a system in place that's going to follow those regulations. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a person or persons that's going to be responsible for making sure that you are in compliance with those regulations. It's never done. In these chameleon carriers, they just never do it. And so one of the biggest offenders for these chameleon carriers is they're getting paid by load, the number of loads that they could drive. So the more loads they could drive, the more money they're going to make. Well, there's hours of service regulations preventing, fatigued drivers from being on the roadway. Well, they just don't care, right? They are pushing these drivers all the time to violate those rules.
Yeah, because if they get violations, these chameleon carriers,
they don't care.
You could give them, tens of 20, 10, 20, 30 violations. They're just going to pull that USDOT number and get a new one.
They're just, literally, we're not kidding you. They would literally just cut off the logo off of one truck and put it on another one.
And not even the logo. Like, they're literally just taking the so you have to, on a trailer, you have to have, on a tractor, you're supposed to have the USDOT number on there, like what the actual number is. They'll just change that number. It's the same tractor. It's everything. It's even the same company logo. They're just changing the number.
Changes the DOT number, and so now why is this? Obviously that's such a problem from a pure safety standpoint, but now think about it from an industry standpoint, where you have a shipper who hires a broker to broker a load, and they broker it to one of these. One of these types of companies, and the shippers have no idea, right? The shippers have absolutely, they have no idea who's picking up the product. And so now when they come to pick up the product, the name on the truck is not matching the name on the bill of lading, and the shippers aren't doing anything about it, right? It's unbelievable.
They want their product.
They need
the end recipient.
They need their product to move from point A to point B, and now all of a sudden, Corey, if Corey is the shipper, that's who is shipping the merchandise or the property, and they hire Ed's Trucking Company, and now all of a sudden, Ed's Trucking Company doesn't pick up the load. It's Bill's Trucking Company. No, there's all kinds of red flags, right?
There should be red flags.
There should be red flags, and nobody's doing anything about it. And one of the scariest things right now is the fact that most of these drivers are non-domiciled. Mm-hmm. They're not U.S. citizens. They don't speak the language. And they don't care. They get in crashes. We have one right now that happened in Colorado, and the driver was an illegal immigrant driving for a company in California that had zero, not one, zero U.S. drivers. Zero. It is terrifying. Kills our client, spends time in a U.S. prison, and then gone, right?
Never
just
be
gone.
Seen again. Yeah.
Never going to be seen again. We have another one in the state of Vermont where it was a Canadian, not a Canadian citizen.
No, he's from India.
He's from India. He has a Canadian visa and came into the state of Vermont and just decimated our client. Killed our client, destroyed this beautiful family. and this guy's going to be gone. I mean, he's in jail right now, but as soon as the sentence is up, he's going to be gone.
Yeah, and part of the FMCSR is you have to be able to read and write and understand the English language.
Yep.
And the problem
and they can't do it.
And the reason for that, you got to be able to read the road signs. Right?
You got to be able to read road signs. You got to be able to read bills of lading. You got to be able to read shipping manifests. You got to be able to, you pull into a loading dock. You got to understand where you're supposed to go, where you're not supposed to go. And so, one of the scary things right now is, brokers, they're hiring all these chameleon carriers and not vetting them, right? And so now you have all these brokers out there hiring these chameleon carriers, and they're giving them the loads because the broker, if the load is supposed to cost $1,000 to move and you get a chameleon carrier that'll move it for $500, well, the broker makes more money. And so now, pending before this, Supreme Court, the brokers want immunity for all this. So they could hire companies with that drivers that don't speak any English,
no CDLs,
no CDLs. Yeah. They have unsatisfactory safety scores or conditional safety scores. Those two things mean that the federal government has stepped in and determined they're bad carriers. They could do all of that, and there's no repercussion, whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, a broker in that scenario, if the brokers get what they want from the Supreme Court, they could hire me to transport a load.
They could hire anybody.
Right.
I'm not kidding you. They could technically hire a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
Like a 12-year-old could get behind the wheel and no license, no nothing, and that's it. There's no recourse. They have no responsibility. So I mean, and they know this is not a mystery to the industry, right? So this chameleon carriers, I mean, it is a huge problem in the trucking industry right now. Huge problem. I mean, you don't have the Wall Street Journal, Philadelphia Inquirer,
60 Minutes,
60 Minutes, the state of California, the state of Florida. You don't have all these, everybody doing all these investigations if there's nothing to see, right? And so they know it's a problem, and instead of fixing the problem, what they want to do is they want to be granted immunity from having to deal with the problem. That's crazy, right? Yeah. And so instead of them saying, hey, what do we need to do to make our roads safer? Why don't we stop hiring really terrible companies? Why don't we stop hiring companies where, the everything is run from Uzbekistan? It's
not even being facetious. Like, this is legitimate. Like, what's happening?
It is absolutely what's happening. I mean, we had a case recently where the dispatch was being done from Uzbekistan, and I was going to send Corey there just to see what it was like, which I thought would have been a heck of a lot of fun.
That would have been a lot of fun. Very nice vacation,
right? To go do a site inspection. But these are the things that are, we're dealing with in the industry on a daily basis, and we're not, listen, there's a lot of really, really, really good trucking companies out there for sure that really take safety seriously, but there's a lot that don't.
And even some of the drivers in these chameleon carriers could be good drivers, right? But they may not have the ability, like a lot of them may not be legal here, so right? So they don't have the ability to actually run for a good carrier, right? Yep. And this is kind of the options that they're left with. It's not a good option, but it's they're trying to make ends meet. For their
they're trying to listen. They're trying to they're trying to send money back for to their families. I mean, very few. I mean, listen, there are some really bad ones. I mean, the guy, the case in Colorado. I mean, awful. I mean, just horrible. The case in Vermont. I mean, the guy. I mean, he was sleeping. He was falling asleep. I mean, we were involved in another case out in Oregon where the guy was high on cocaine. I mean, you have some really bad drivers, but Corey's right. The majority of these folks, they're coming in. They're coming into the country illegally. They're getting hooked up with these trucking companies. They're trying to just, eke out a living to send money back to, their families. And a lot of them are working really hard and trying their best. The problem is the companies don't give them any training. So,
Correct.
If they gave them any training, these folks would,
Yeah.
I certainly, benefit, from it. But that's, then the training costs money.
Yeah. The companies are putting them in a bad spot. I mean, they're already in a bad spot, and then they get hired by these trucking companies, and they're just trying to get the load.
I do think on that other case we will send you to Uzbekistan, because I mean that would just be.
Yeah, I might have to start putting my application in.
That would be a lot of fun. We'll Corey goes over. Corey, we'll have the camera crew follow Corey around to Uzbekistan just to see. I bet you.
Do they have any golf courses?
I bet you don't even know where Uzbekistan is.
No, not on the map.
No. Somebody'd have to point it out. But these are some of the the real issues, and the terrifying thing is. When stuff like this happens, I mean, it just devastates families. I mean, absolutely devastates families. And then all of a sudden, they're now, you wipe out an entire family, and this trucking company has $750,000, and everybody else is saying, "Oh,
we're not. Don't look at us.
Don't look at us."
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? Hey, I'm sorry. I mean, that's 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 the law, and that's what these chameleon carriers, that's what these foreign entities are now preying upon, is all of the lack of enforcement, the loopholes, the fact that they can not only start sham trucking companies, basically start sham insurance companies, as well.
And you can go online now and get, from these insurance companies, you could just fill out a form online and get insurance. Commercial policy. You need a. There's no underwriting going on.
There's
You need a U.S. DOT number, and some of these insurance companies are going to give you insurance, which is, and
they are
terrible.
Believe me, these are sophisticated operators that are setting these things up, and they know the every single escape hatch that there is. And they're setting up 4, 5, 6, sometimes 10 companies at a time, and then just bouncing all these, from DOT number to DOT number. We've seen it we've seen it with some of the biggest shippers in the world that they're doing this to.
Did you see the CDL school that is in Philadelphia that it's under investigation?
Yeah, totally fraudulent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they were handing out. They were giving. They were letting people take their. So you have to take the test. You're supposed to have English proficiency, right?
Yeah.
And so what they were letting them do was take their phone in and talk into Google Translate to translate the test.
Yeah.
In order to be able to
and some of them didn't even
pass
take the test. Yeah, some of them were just giving out the CDLs. They think it's federally investigated right now. They think it's a complete sham, and it stems from a crash that occurred in Indiana, I believe.
I believe it.
I think the crash occurred in Indiana, killing someone. The driver was from Philadelphia and allegedly got his CDL at this CDL school.
I believe it. It's not surprising.
When they started looking into it, it's they weren't taking the test, they weren't doing anything. They were just giving the CDLs out.
Well, and look, we started this because we represent a lot of truck drivers, right? And giving information in truck driving. We believe it to be a noble profession, and the men and women that are out there really working hard and doing it the right way. They deserve to be able to earn a really good living, as this is a profession. Mm-hmm. Those men and women that are trying to do it the right way, this industry, this chameleon carriers, it's devastating to them, because
it makes it very hard for them.
Yeah, they're trying to invest in training, invest in telematics, invest in all the technology to avoid crashes. And as a result, they have to charge for that. And then you have these chameleon carriers that come along and just undercut the market. Well, look, any broker, shipper, whatever, they're just naturally going to give these companies the business because it's cheaper.
And especially if there's no responsibility.
No responsibility. So it 100% just becomes a race to the bottom. And whatever your political persuasion is, doesn't really matter. No. I will tell you without a fact you want to take away American jobs, this is how it's happening, right? Because this is the profession.
Mm-hmm.
American truck drivers driving on American roads, that should be what we're concerned about, right? And instead, because of the lack of enforcement, and now, the brokers too, I mean, they're actively recruiting like these entities and organizations because they make more money. It's a huge problem, and one that needs to be talked about more.
Yeah, and for the truck drivers too that are doing it the right way and that are on the road nonstop, I mean, it's a danger to them as well.
Oh my God, yeah,
right? Like
absolutely.
they're the ones that have to be around these chameleon carrier truck drivers all the time on the road. I mean, if you're spending a lot of time, a lot of windshield time.
Yeah,
you're going to run into these chameleon carriers and these people who are overworked, that can't read and write the English language and have no idea what they're doing behind a semi truck, and
overworked, underpaid. They're being pushed to drive longer, drive faster. I mean, these chameleon carriers know how to fudge, electronic logging devices. I mean,
the maintenance on these vehicles is terrible because if they get a maintenance violation,
they don't care.
Right? Because another thing they've been doing, they're not buying, these chameleon carriers aren't buying the tractor, right? They're leasing these tractors for minimal amounts of money. Mm-hmm. They're leasing the worst tractors out there just to get them to point A to point B. They don't care to keep up with the maintenance.
No. And when Corey's talking about maintenance, I mean, your big companies or even small to mid-sized companies, I mean, what they're doing is, they gotta have tire programs, they gotta have brake programs, and doing it the right way. And now these chameleon carriers come along and it's, hey, listen, if it breaks, we'll just go get another one and move on to the next company and
fix it themselves, maybe just whatever they could do to get this vehicle.
They don't
back
care.
on the
I
road.
mean, they will literally duct tape a DOT number onto a truck, and so we're seeing this more and more and more. And what is really frightening is if if the Supreme Court decides that brokers have immunity, I think very candidly this is going to become a bigger problem, not a smaller problem.
100%. I couldn't agree more with that.
Because now what incentive, now you can set all these companies up, and it doesn't matter, if they have a safety record or not anymore. It doesn't matter if they, have been in business a day, a week, a month, or 50 years. Like it is going to be a race to the bottom to just find the cheapest company, cheapest driver. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, they know it. I mean, these chameleon carriers, these foreign entities, they will prey upon the lack of oversight, in our system. And it's I think the amount of crashes will certainly increase, not decrease.
It's a dangerous profession, and it's getting more dangerous for the motoring public.
Yeah, it is. These chameleon carriers, it's a real slippery slope because, you think, well, that's just a very, it's very targeted, it's very specific, but it permeates the whole industry, right? I mean, it just does because, they're out there bidding on loads, mm-hmm. and they can bid a half.
It's driving down the cost.
The cost. It can drive down the cost of moving the goods, mm-hmm. but it's only going to increase, the cost of safety, in the long run, because, what good is it if you can move from point A to point B, but you're doing it in a reckless manner. So,
make no mistake either. Like, this isn't just like one or two. This is
tens of thousands.
Yes, this is a widespread, real issue that's going on right now. we're not just making this up. Like this
No.
is a significant issue that's happening right now.
And it's more, I would say it's probably more significant in places that have major transportation arteries.
100%.
You know, obviously Florida, California, Texas, huge problem in Texas. The Northeast, you know, obviously.
Yeah, Philly's
as
become
well.
a real significant issue with it.
You know, so the more places that you're having major, you know, transportation corridors, you're going to see more, you know, more of these, you know, issues and problems. And, you know, hopefully the industry itself recognizes that it is a problem and starts policing itself a little bit better on some of this stuff. And then, you know, also, you know, hopefully the court system will let the people who are facilitating these bad entities get on the roadway, let them be held accountable for their role in this. Because, you know, a lot of times, like, you know, these companies don't get matched up with shippers without a broker involved.
Right.
And, you know, now they just want to wash their hands of all this. And I think that's a real slippery slope.
Yeah, no, completely agree. So
Good
today,
talk.
today is a shorter episode, but I think this is something that we really wanted to talk about. That's really important, and it matters, and something that's in the news right now. So we want to talk about that with everyone next week or next month.
Next month, we're going to have a special guest.
Yeah.
We don't know who that is yet, but we are going to have a special guest from the industry that's going to talk about some additional topics with us. Probably either a driver or somebody that's in the trucking
Insurance maybe
in the trucking business. But we figure we want to spice it up a little bit and change it up a little bit, and we're going to bring somebody a new face in. So again, thank you, really. Thanks everybody for watching. It's I said nobody is more surprised than me and Corey that people want to listen to us. But we hope we're providing a good resource and providing a little bit of entertainment as well. And I promise, if we do send Corey to Uzbekistan, I'll make him get he'll be in full gear, and I'll make sure that we have good photographs.
I'm still not convinced. It's just not like our family replaying it on
it might
YouTube
be.
and podcast.
It might be. Maddie, Jen, they may just, my grandchildren may just be watching this over and over and over again to put them to sleep. But
it's fine.
That's fine. But thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thanks, guys.